in the matrix, dodging bullets, reaping what you're sowing, stacking up the footage, living on the go and sleeping in the villa, sipping from a Grammy, walking in the building, diamond in the ceiling, marble on the floors, beaches out the window, peeking out the window, baby in the pool, Godfather goes, only Lord knows. I'm the cameras, eat it for daughters, Brock wearing sandals, yoga on a Monday, stretching to November, watching all the snakes, curving all the fakes, phone never own, I don't care.
This is the new wave, where things have evolved. This is NBA Live. Here, you can be the one and shine like the league's best. Anybody can get shook or dunked on or crossed up. And your newfound control over your strengths, skills, and style. So do you want to be the one or the one who gets left behind? You have the ability to dominate on both ends of the court. It's all path to being the greatest, being the one, does not stop at the NBA. The game continues in the playgrounds, the schools, and the local gyms. This is where every real player developed their love for the game, where they paid their dues, earned their reps, and rode their own wave. From pickup games at the Rucker, to Pro-Am games at the Drew, to the bright lights of the NBA. The paths to greatness are limitless. And trust me, this game ain't the same. Are you ready to be the one?
the Cleveland Cavaliers.
I don't really care if you cry. I don't really shouldn't have a lie. Should've saw the way she looked me in my. All my friends are dead, push me to the edge. Phantom, that's alright. Inside all white. Your girlfriend call me. Push me to the edge. All my friends are dead, yeah. All my friends are dead, yeah. Red on, that is stone. Red on, yeah. Mad song, look, that song. Fast car, nice car, red song. In the cloud, they got no ones that we won't back down. Yeah. Clothes from overseas, got them racks and they all see. No, to you it's not a cheat. Oh, looking at your stagger, look your money, it all greed. Oh, I was counting that is all 20s, that's a G, bro. She say, you're the worst, you're the worst. Die, push me to the edge. All my friends are dead. Push me to the edge. All my friends are dead. Push me to the edge. All my friends are dead. Push me to the edge.
Let's start creating your look. If you haven't already done so, let's complete your player info. Your background sets the stage for who you are, both on and off the court.
Have to say the words, cause my fans just sing along. Kinda crazy, we work hard just to be lazy. I 8 miles just to be shady, now I'm full. Got that magic like McGrady, I won't have to go on. Women wanna, I'm anemic, so I gotta eat steak, move, get out my way. Like I'm ludicrous, talking about how they get with their computer fish. What the you want? I got to do. I had a dream and a scheme where I put my mom in a penthouse. Need that view, got a whole team, yeah, they need that too. Need them, Majin Buu, quit my job, yeah, Sue. I suggest you take a hike if you can't see all the I'm amounting to. I'm on top, rain check y'all like I'm out of stock. When your drops, it is not the case. My drops like an outer box. I'm Frodo to these bros, Waldo to these. So if you think you getting chose, I'ma have to let you know. You will not find me. When I was young, they told me don't look to the sun. You'll go blind, or maybe they were scared I'd find out I could run. Got oxygen in my lungs in a 3-point stance. So when they you will not find me. When my album drops, you will not find me. When I leave that dock, you will not find punching in the clock, you will not find when they kicking rocks, you will not find. In high school, I wouldn't listen to Lil Wayne cause money over seemed a little profane till I realized all the that I liked were really. So ever since that moment, I've been rapping kinda different. Born on the 28th, I'm a Libra, play it safe and kill all the competition. Make sure no one gets the race. Like I said in my other song, boy, who the are you? Don't keep pillows.
Let's start creating your look. If you haven't already done so, download the Game Face HD app. Scan yourself and get your face in the game.
Trying to stay away from the MSG. Diabetes in my family. Gotta live to see a Grammy. Trying to on me, but didn't wash your hands. So I ain't taking you hand me. That's my modus operandi. I'm a savage, call me Randy. Fill my cup, call me Stanley. Do the proper planning. You will not find me.
Your hairstyle says a lot about your look. Let's choose yours. Beard, scruff, or clean shaven, your path to facial hair greatness starts here.
I remember being broken down bad. Now I pay nothing for my sneakers cause I'm Nav. He can't get a feature so he mad. I ain't nothing like these rappers, they won't last. I don't wanna call her, now she's sad. Cause I'm getting money, and living fast. Every time I dress I'm popping tags. And every time I'm buying I'm paying cash. Mixing up designer I don't match. Yeah, I'm dressing bathing nape that you don't have. Remember she ain't want me, now she make it. I just put 200 on the dash. I just walked in Neiman with them bands. I got 15,000 in my hand. I might spend 800 on a shirt, Gucci down. I just spent 300.
Let's start creating your look. If you haven't, now it's time to decide what kind of player you want to be. First, let's choose your player type. Guard, wing. Now, let's define your style of play. This will determine the impact you have on the court.
She said she love my music and she wanna see my face. He said you wanna feature, get this bro boy out my way.
Now, it's time to choose your player's height and weight. Every choice you make here will affect your player's physical capabilities, both good and bad. So choose wisely before you lock in.
I ain't nothing like these rappers, they won't last. I don't wanna call her, now she's sad. Cause I'm getting money, and living fast. Every time I dress, I'm popping tags. And every time I'm buying, I'm paying cash. She only want me cause I'm Nav. Girl, I didn't buy that bag. I ain't buy. I don't want no one that's in the mix. You talk to all the rappers saying that and this. Every time I'm buying, I'm paying cash. I just spent 5,000 on I just wanna take it. I asked her if she wanna win. She see the XO on my back and now she in. Yeah, I'm ballin' with.
Like millions of other kids, you dreamed of one day being in the NBA. You wanted to be a star. And someday, to rise above and become the greatest to ever play. You dreamed of being the one. But the road to stardom is never easy. There are obstacles, injuries, and disappointments. Adversity is universal. It can happen to anyone at any time. And one day, it happened to you. You went from being a guaranteed lottery pick to a kid who may never even play college ball again.
Now, look, it's always bad to hear about injuries, especially to college kids, of course.
Yeah.
But Stephen A. Smith, this one is particularly disheartening because we are 2 weeks into the season and one of the top NBA prospects in the country goes down potentially with a season-ending injury, a knee injury. That's a killer.
I couldn't agree more. When I heard he was carried off the floor today, all you can do is find yourself hoping that he'll make it back. That's the bottom line. But my heart goes out to him because I didn't expect this. This is a devastating injury. It's never good to have something like this happen to you.
The team doctor broke the news. Torn ACL, sprained MCL, and a torn meniscus. Surgery was scheduled, but your game will likely never be the same. Teen NBA draft, your name is still mentioned, but as a cautionary tale.
Now, there's another huge story in this year's draft. A record number of underclassmen, 30 of them, undrafted. And I hope, anyway, that this is a lesson. This serves as an example to college players. I'm not talking about the ones who are genuinely one and dones, the guys you know are going to be lottery picks. I mean the rest of them. They're not sure shots. You're not sure they're going to be lottery picks. Don't just use the college system for a year thinking you're going to bounce. It doesn't work like that. If you don't have the talent, it doesn't work. You got to be cultivated in the system.
Please. There you go again with your blanket generalizations. You know how you are, oh, Max, the woe is me, oh, my Lord. I can't take it. I just can't take it. It's a case-by-case basis. You can't just blanketly decide this should not be one and dones or this should be one and dones. You got to go on a case-by-case basis. Some dudes deserve to be one and dones. Some people don't. It's on a case-by-case basis.
And that is my point. Thank you for making it for me. Every kid thinks they're the exception to the rule. And members of the media like, Stephen A. Smith, are encouraging these kids to come out early.
Look, Max, bottom line is this. You got to take this into consideration. You had two dudes. They were called the Height brothers. Now, you had Nick Howard. This kid had a lot of promise. What does he do? He goes to college. Very uneventful first year, no doubt. The second year, he was pretty good. Here's the problem. The NBA, it's not about pretty good. You need to be great on the collegiate level, on the prep level, in summer leagues and what have you, in order for you to get the stature that you deserve. That's the bottom line. You're pretty good ain't good enough to be that stud NBA.
That's exactly my point.
Let me finish. There's another example. I did say the Height brothers. I wasn't talking about one individual. I was talking about two. What happens? One and done in a different way. 1 year, one ACL injury later, and look where he's at now. His future is clearly uncertain. So you got to take advantage of that opportunity because you never know when an injury is going to cost you everything.
Stephen A., listen to yourself. Let's listen to yourself for a second. You give one argument for why a kid should come out early, a one-and-done situation. I can give you 30 arguments this morning alone why they should stay in school. And now you have to wonder what a kid like Nick Howard, who has given up his college eligibility, does next. What does he do next?
First of all, don't sweat the technique. The argument, or one argument, as long as it's strong enough, that's all that matters. That's number one. Number two, the Height brothers was something special. What they really, really need to do. I'm going to tell you what they need to do, Max. They need to get back to playing together. My sources are telling me the ACL injury has been completely healed. So go on a pro-am circuit. Go in summer leagues. Do what you got to do to get back on the court together to remind everybody of what you once were. Because once you pull that off, the sky's the limit. That's what they need to do. Get back to playing ball together, because when people see what you can do as one, the other arguments don't really matter. Like I said, don't sweat the technique.
I got loyalty, got royalty inside my DNA. Quarter piece, got war and peace inside my DNA. I got power, poison, pain, and joy inside my DNA. I got hustle, though, ambition, flow inside my DNA. I was born like this, and born like this, immaculate conception. I transform like this, perform like this with new weapon. I don't contemplate, I meditate, then off your head. This that put the kids to bed. This that I got realness. I just killed this 'cause it's in my DNA. I got millions, I got riches building in my DNA. I got dark, I got evil that rot inside my DNA. I got off, I got trouble, some heart inside my DNA. I just win again, then win again like Wimbledon I serve. Yeah, that's him again. The sound the engine in is like a bird. You see fireworks, a Corvette tire skirt the boulevard. I know how you work, I know just who you are. See, use a. Your hormones probably switch inside your DNA. Problem is, all that inside your DNA. Daddy probably snitch, heritage inside your DNA. Backbone don't exist, born outside a jellyfish I gauge. See my pedigree, most definitely don't tolerate the front. Like been through probably offend you, this is Paula's oldest son. I know convention burners expertise checked out in second grade. When I was 9, on sale motel, we didn't have nowhere to stay. At 29, I've done so well, hit cartwheel in my estate. And I'm gon' shine like I'm supposed to.
This is New York City, the mecca of basketball. The original Rucker League began here in 1947. 9 years later, the tournament found a permanent home uptown at PS 156 Playground. Those early Rucker days showcased talents like Lou Alcindor, Wilt the Stilt, and Earl the Pearl. It's also where Julius Erving became the Doctor. In 1974, the park was respectfully renamed Holcomb Rucker Park in honor of the tournament founder. Now, many have influenced the growth of the Rucker since, but none more heavily than the late great Greg Marius, founder of the EBC. Many would argue that the Ruck is the birthplace of true street ball and the crossover dribble. Considering New York City's penchant for flashy guard play, there are few who can challenge that. After the legendary exploits of Rucker alumni like Rod Strickland, Rafer Alston, and Kyrie Irving, it goes without saying that getting crossed up or banged on can happen to anybody at any given moment here. It's no wonder that this unassuming uptown playground has become the most widely recognized street ball court in the world. Rucker Park, Harlem.